5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, there we go.
That, my friend,
that's the new countdown. And you could check the ticks on that. I think I hit the second every time. So, hey,
hello, everybody. Well, good morning, afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you may be across our lovely world. Thanks for joining us live today. And if you have joined us, you are more than welcome on Serverless Office Hours, because we are squatting elsewhere because the AWS Twitch stream is being used by the Reinforce conference. Lots of security stuff going over there. So if you are interested in that, wait an hour and then you can join join us after that. But we are lovely streaming here today on our Serverless Land YouTube channel, our previous channel. So it feels a little bit nice to be home, isn't it, Eric?
Yeah, it's cozy. Yeah, I like this. Yeah.
Excellent. So Eric, welcome to Serverless Office Hours. We've got Sally, other Eric, and Jarek, Jeepers, and Jeff. What's going on?
Would you like to start over?
Maybe. Are you going to do the countdown again?
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah. Okay. 5, 4. No, that's all I got. I can do 2, 1, 0. That's all I got. So,
Eric, welcome to Office Hours. Eric Johnson, Eric Hanchett, welcome to Office Hours. You have been on before. You are a streamer extraordinaire. So, for people who don't know you, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, hi. I'm a senior developer advocate. We're here at AWS. I've been just doing a lot of front end stuff. Me and Sally, I'm sure he'll introduce himself in a second, also had done a lot of AWS Amplify. So excited to be on here, talk more about front end and serverless and show some things off as well later.
Excellent. We love the showing the kind of things. So yeah, ball over into Sally's court. Sally's, Eric's in the US, Sally's in Europe, I'm in Europe. So we have a bit more of a global feel. Sally, welcome to Office Hours. Yeah, this is your first time. So
yeah.
Tell us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have excellent. So Sally, tell us where did you come from to do what you do at AWS?
I am really excited to be here. I feel like I'm the imposter here. But great to be here. I'm based in Berlin, Germany, and prior to AWS, I have been building apps for everyone, everywhere. And like Eric said, me and him, we were focusing a lot on front-end developers and how we can your AWS experience more fluent, more better. And it's been more than 3 years, and I'm really enjoying it more and more every day. That's
Excellent.
All more or less from me.
Awesome to have you. And last but certainly not least, and I'll try and get your name right, Jeff. Jeff, how are you? And what's your remit in the world of serverless and AWS?
Sure. I am a serverless specialist ham. We're kind of unicorns within AWS, but I've been specializing in serverless for about 3 years now with AWS, and looking forward to this. It should be fun.
Cool. Excellent. So we are talking Lambda Hackathon at the moment. Sorry, this has been going on for a number of weeks. We are live. It's all about actually, you get to drive the stream this week. You get to ask us the questions. We've got some experts on. We've got a number of people who are joining us as well. So welcome. Please let us know where you're joining us from. We're all from YouTube, so that's great. So Sharon, great to join us from Kenya. We've got Vidit joining from Mumbai. And yes, Goto Serverless Bangalore we are about to cover. We've got Cameroon in the house. We have lots of highs and hellos from other kind of places. But yeah, our global community is super awesome. So before we get on to the Lambda Hackathon, I did just mention Goto Serverless Bengaluru. Eric, this is your baby. Tell us what's going on and what we should be looking forward to.
I'm so jazzed about this. So if you are, did you say Bengaluru? I don't think that's correct. I think it's Bengaluru. Yeah, Bengaluru. There we go. Yeah. So just to clarify, we're not. Yeah, I don't know where Julian's talking about. We're going to Bengaluru. Yeah, it's a rough day, right? So we're going to Bengaluru. If you're not familiar with Goto Serverless, we've actually done several of these events. Sometimes it's called Goto EDA. This time we're calling it Goto Serverless. But we are with the Goto conferences, which are awesome developer conferences. And we're bringing Goto Serverless to Bengaluru on August 8th at the Conrad Hotel. And it is a full day of serverless. It's really cool. We've got people, we're announcing speakers all the time, but I'm going to kind of, just for those watching the stream here, we've got Nick Colt, who's the director of serverless. He's the big dog in charge. I don't know if that's on his actual business card, and it should be like dog, like DAWG, like big dog. Anyway, but so he's the big dog in charge with serverless, and I'm just going to say, this is a really cool year for serverless. They're all cool years, but some cool stuff. We're not allowed to say things like that anymore, but I'm saying it. Some cool stuff happening. So he's going to be talking a little bit about that. So I really encourage you to check it out. You can see the link down there, s12d.com/go-to serverless. If you're in Bengaluru area, if you're near the Bengaluru area, the tickets, we're trying to keep them inexpensive. If that's still a problem, hit me up. And for those, I'm going to post it in here. For those watching, I'm going to do a 20% discount for anybody. I sound like I'm doing a sale. So, oh, wait, there's more. You'll get a set of steak knives. No, but I am going to throw a code in for 20% off for those watching. And we would love to have you. It's all day of serverless. We're also going to do workshops, everything. So, all right, I took most of the time to announce that, but now it's back to you.
Well, Eric, I will throw something in. If you go to Serverless Bengaluru, I will personally give you 1 million free Lambda invocations every single month.
Settle down, Julian. Settle
How
down.
does that work?
Yeah.
It's part of the free tier, but you know what? You can take over from me. So
you know somebody's going to come along and go, I already had that.
Only costs, yeah. So that's it. But Lambda Hackathon time. Turning your serverless dreams into reality. There are big prizes. There is money to be won at the moment. So literally, it is certainly not too late to delve in. So, Eric, tell us about the prizes. Sorry, caught you off guard there.
No, I don't. So here's what happened. Something popped up. I don't know if you were talking to me, but something came up in my speakers, and that's all I could hear. And it was us from like 5 minutes ago. So sorry about that. So were you talking to me?
I was talking to you. Tell us about the prizes.
Oh, the prizes. I'm so sorry. I'm also turning down my audio because I realized as I just heard myself talking, I'm a loud person, Julian. Did you know that?
I don't think I would have.
Careful.
I don't think I would have noticed that.
Yeah.
Shy, unassuming Eric. Yeah.
That's right. All right. So here are the prizes. So if you're not following along, and let me just throw this out. It's not too late to get involved. We were not expecting the kind of turnout we had. Jeff, I'm going to let you do the honors. Tell them how many people have applied or who have joined.
Let me just do a quick refresh. Just before the call, we had 2497. We've got 2498 right now. So we're just shy of the 2500 mark.
Yeah, it's crazy. So 2,500 people competing. So, and this is what they're competing for. They're one credibility, street cred, and Lambda. That's pretty big. But first prize is $6,000. I'll give you that, so that helps. $6,000. The second prize is $4,000. It's different. You can tell that. The third prize is $3,000, and then we've got 4 honorable mentions of $500 each. So, super excited about that.
Yeah, that is super cool. And your mission is actually pretty simple. It's just build an application using Lambda. But it sort of does need to solve a real-world business problem. So it probably means not mining cryptocurrency. I don't think that's going to qualify for a win. But, if it's creative, who knows? You need to implement at least one Lambda trigger. And this can be super simple. It can be AP. Yes, Eric.
Well, I was probably going to say what you're getting ready to say. I want to clarify on that because we've had a lot of people kind of confused on what triggering a Lambda is, and maybe that wasn't the best terminology. We'll blame somebody later. We'll spin a hat, whatever, and blame somebody. But the idea here is you got to use a Lambda function, right? And triggering, I mean, it could be a function URL. It could be event-driven using, because a function URL sometimes is more like API. I encourage you to look at event-driven architecture because that really kind of is where the future is and as we're growing. But yes, it could be any one of these. So just to clarify that, we've had some questions on that. So
yeah, so someone did ask specifically about the function URL. So yeah, I mean, get credit. I mean, also, it's just a Lambda function. So that's it. And then you are free to integrate with other AWS services. So, use some storage with S3, DynamoDB for NoSQL. DSQL is recently out, so it could be some Postgres kind of funky kind of stuff. Amazon Bedrock, obviously GenAI is taking the world by storm. We have the new Strands SDK, so maybe somebody's thinking about building some sort of agentic kind of stuff with Strands or MCP. These are just literally ideas. In fact, what I'm trying to do here, implement at least one Lambda. Does this update? Oh, look at that. Jeepers,
look at that. That's crazy talk.
That is skills. Who would have thought I'm a developer advocate?
Right.
Anyway,
you're watching brilliance in action right here.
I'm vibe PowerPointing as we speak. Isn't that awesome? So, Eric, tell us what your submission needs.
Yep. So here's what you got to have. One, you need a public code repo. So when and there's a lot of questions around this, so I'm going to take a few minutes for this, but we need to be able to see it work, right? And so first of all, you got to give us a place to look at the code. And then the second thing is you need a detailed README showing how it works. Julian is obviously modifying the submission needs as we go. So let me make sure. Are you settled? Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
We need now what we're considering a 3-ish minute demo video seeing in action. So lots of questions about, well, I don't want to share my front end code with you or this or that. However, when I'm judging something, I'm going to deploy it. I'm going to, maybe you have some seed data for some mock data or something like that. The more I see work, the more completion, and we'll see that in a minute, the more that counts to credibility on the application. So definitely a public repo where we can get at it, detailed README on how it works and how to demo it. How do we walk through and see it in action? And then a 3-ish minute demo on you showing us it in action. And these do not have to be Hollywood, proof caliber videos. I don't need you to fly in on a spaceship and do this. It could be your phone, it could be a screen capture. Just show us what you got.
Yeah, and I did change it to 3-ish minutes because some people are saying, oh, well, if it's a little bit under, a little bit over, no, that's not going to penalize you. Just give yourself the chance to explain the cool stuff that you built.
You can tell just by how Julian and I interact, we're very strict and proper. So yeah.
Ish. Proper-ish.
Ish. I live by the word ish. All right.
So judging criteria. So yes, quality and creativity. And this is all about what it's going to be. Really, get some good architecture and serverless best practices built into that. That's going to help. Eric mentioned about the completeness. But yeah, quality, creativity, that's what it's going to be. If it's going to be fun, if it's going to be interesting, that's going to help. But it doesn't always have to be crazy fun and interesting. Also, the quality and creativity can be doing some big data processing stuff. If you you're doing analytics in Lambda with DuckDB or something, and you're getting crazy amounts of performance, and something before takes a huge amount of time, and you build it in serverless and it's going to be super fast and efficient. Hey, that's a creative idea. So the creativity doesn't just need to be artistic creativity. It can be finding other solutions. That's what one going to do. Vidit does mention, can we please more flexible with timing around 5-ish to 7-ish?
Let me remind you this. I'm sorry, Julian, do you want to answer?
No, please go.
Okay. Let me remind you of something. Jeff, tell them how many submissions or how many people are participating.
2,500.
2,500. So we do not have 2,500 judges. We have Eric. Eric is willing to watch the 7 to 8 minute videos, but the rest of us, no. In all honesty, we need to keep these videos short. I know you'd like to do a longer video, but we want to be able to award the prize for this year. If we get 2,500 5 to 7 minute videos, I'll probably quit, to be honest. But no, I'll stay with it, but we won't be able to turn this around fast enough. So definitely try to keep it at 3 max.
Think, what are you trying to show? There is going to be I would suggest putting in a README in your application. All of us can read the README. So if you're going to read out the README and it's going to take 5 to 7 minutes, think about the quality and creativity of your showing it off. You could even do this, if you did this in 2-3 minutes and it's just a whiz bang. This is what's cool about it. This is why I built it. This is what's enjoyable about it. I solved this business problem kind of thing. Actually, the whole walkthrough of your README or reading through the README, that's not the stuff that the video is really going to shine on. It's more, this was important for me. I did this because my uncle was running something and he had this cool idea, or my daughter had a great idea for something, or I had this. That's the cool stuff that's going to make your submission shine, rather than reading through a README. So just my one tip on my side. So the start date was not last week. It was 2 weeks ago because we're reusing some PowerPoint slides, but that shouldn't matter because that's in the past. But yeah, submissions are up until the end of the month. We have some submissions who've come in already. Some people have been coding like crazy to get the stuff in. But, as we said before, time is you still got time. You know what we got nearly 2 weeks to do this, and some people you can do a lot of vibe coding in 2 weeks. I think so.
Yep. And can I say we've seen some cool, not necessarily submissions, but a lot of conversations that are going on. It's been really cool to see not just the conversations between us. Jeff, I know you've been in there a lot and doing a lot of stuff. And we have some others that I won't say their names because some people are quiet and shy and stuff like that. But we have some other support volunteers that are just killing it. But the conversation between the participants as well, helping each other out and stuff. If you don't know serverless, this is a good way to learn serverless. Sit in this channel. It's been really cool.
Yeah. The channel is a Slack channel on the AWS developers Slack channel. And so, yeah, that is a good place. And you've got experts from AWS, people like Eric and lots of other experts. I delve in there to learn from the experts as well. We've got judges, and the peers. This is a great community. So it is people asking each other. We've had cool people help each other out and build some cool kind of things. And some of them have been, how do I format this SDK kind of thing? Or I don't even know what this is, or I don't get this. And yeah, so great community to even be involved. And there's a network effect. The more people that are involved, the more people that can help each other out. So the whole thing is, are you ready to build something amazing? So please join us on that. So switching slightly, just to put Jeff slightly on the spot. Jeff, you've been feverishly monitoring the Slack kind of channel. What's your sort of overall sentiment of what's been going on? What are the kind of things that people are thinking about or that you've come across that would be interesting for people on the stream today?
Seen some interesting solutions around using Lambda to tie into what is it? Generative AI type solutions. Things like using different solutions to do voice to text or text to voice using, what is it called? Sonic?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Several. We've seen several using that. Yeah.
Nova Sonic, and then being able to stream that right through a Lambda furl, right? So you can generate your queries a little bit more easily using Lambda and then stream that result right back to the other end of the stream. Some data processing, always interesting to see data processing happening. Those types of things. That's kind of some of the big ones that I've seen anyway.
Can I take a moment real quick and talk about Nova Sonic? I don't know if any of you have messed with this, but Nova Sonic it's incredible. Yeah. So this is an Amazon thing, and so we have the Nova models. And the Nova Sonic, you talk to it, hey, son, like that, and the voice talking back to you is incredibly realistic. It's very casual. It's kind of cool, and then it even has like interrupt. So it's a two-way thing going on. It's not like say something and wait. Now you say something, and so then you can actually tell it to handle, like if it's in the middle of telling me something, you say no, that's not what I want. What I mean is this. It'll actually pause and listen to you. Go, oh, okay, this is stuff like that. So super. I mean, it's really cool. So I encourage you to check it out.
Human, yeah. In fact, I mean, I won't spill too many beans, but we've got two of our. I'm working in London, and we've got two of our absolute Gen AI experts on our team. Well, I'll even mention Danilo Pucci and Mike Chambers. Like, these people know more than there is to know about generative AI, and they are building a little biggish demo application, and they are using Sonic. We were testing it. They were testing it in the office and needed me to sort of throw some words at it. And the conversation they were having was unbelievable. It was just, in fact, Mike was deliberately interrupting Sonic to see what it would come up. Like, no, come on. I'm sure you've got a better idea than that, or make that easier, make that nicer. I mean, it's really polite and obviously nice. This is Gen AI. And you always need to be polite to your Gen AI because you never know what it's going to say back to you. But yeah, it was just conversational. And when Eric was saying like, don't worry, oh, that's not a problem. Yeah, I'll try something different. Or, oh, that's actually a really good suggestion. I'll do that. And it's this natural language. It is amazing. So we've gone from the robot voices.
Yeah, I built a podcast co-host when it was first out. And that was super interesting because it also does the voice tics as well. Like, let me think about it. Or like according to what you give in the prompt, for example, I said like this will be a podcast about AWS. We will focus on, for example, front-end developers and everything. And what it did at the end was basically saying, okay, but we need to focus on this topic. Like it was correcting me when I was trying to pull the co-host out of the context, and it was like, no, we have to focus on our target audience. Let's go back and talk about how we build it. It was very interesting. Yeah, it was very interesting, I would say. But overall, for me, the great part was how easy it is to set up alongside not just having one option. You will have multiple options from any sound, any audience, any gender. Unfortunately, only in English right now, but I think it's a great first step if you want to have a conversational AI partner, which is having this characteristic alongside it. That was really cool.
Yeah,
cool.
That's
cool. Sally, just over to you. I know you've built some cool demos, and you were speaking at the Hamburg Summit. I was at the Stockholm Summit, and you created this sort of cool demo application. So tell us, for people who are building Gen AI applications and they're wanting to maybe do a bit of front end kind of stuff, like what should people do, or how should people think about that?
I mean, right now, generative AI is not just one way, but the way of reaching out to more people and actually getting their attraction, right? So we are far past just generating the answers and everything. I think right now we are in the stage that allowing to not just automate the content, but actually create it and actually being more responsive about what we can do. So allowing our data to integrate with Gen AI, which was the demo was doing, right? Like we were given access to our data, and it was giving us a sentimental over what we can do, or sort of sentimental over the feeling of what we can do through the workouts. It was a workout tracking app, or it was just doing an analysis on what we can add on top of everything. So overall, in the applications right now, people are trying to first make the content ingestion by the audience easier. So one of the things that I've seen is like, even one friend of mine, he just built an summarizer, let me put it this way, for a chat application that he is using. So in the family group, when he misses like 100 messages, now he was just like getting a summary of it. So he can catch up with a paragraph, and he actually field tested it, and everything was fine. It's actually about how we can enable our lives better. So he had a simple window that he was just passing in, or even allowing the tool that he built having a direct access to its chat window, which was pretty scary, but also really cool as well. And speaking of Strand, I also built something recently by using Strand agents. Let me see if I can find. Okay, I will try to find it after Eric's demo if we have time. But what I built was, so I love Hacker News, but I'm having a hard time to catch up with everything. So Hacker News API is open for free and everything. So what I did was I got the top 5 and top best stories, collected all of them, and went through the comments, get a sentiment over what is the post and how the people feel about it, put tags on it and so on. So I don't have to go through everything. And it has a nice newsletter that actually I am using Lambda to just send it through the emails and so on and so forth. And at the end, what I want to say overall is like, as you see from these examples, it's just finding a solution for your own day-to-day problems. And for me, the problem was Hacker News. For my friend, it was the messaging. And overall, like when you have an idea, it's for a problem that you have. So I think AI should be part of a solution to make your own solution way more effective and easier. I know I made a big detour, but I think it
makes sense. Yeah, I think that's the kind of. I agree with you. It's the when we ask people like, well, what are you going to build with AI? It's like, well, the chatbot. So the chatbots are great. I mean, it's data and stuff like that. And how do we do that? But you do start to write. So the other day, I bought these new light bulbs, and they have an API, and you can change the color, stuff like that. And I was trying to, and so I found myself writing an interface for, they have the API, so I'm going to write step functions or Lambda that does all of them. And then I realized, hang on a minute, I could just hand this API to a tool, and just make it agentic and say, hey, turn the lights up, toy, and stuff like that. Now, it's not quite as fast, right? Because we're used to just, I'm going to invoke a Lambda and the tool whereas the agent needs to process, but we'll get there. But again, it's this idea of working, and working these out. And kind of answering or meeting solutions right where they are. So, all right. So we have some questions coming in, Julian.
Yeah. Eric, you want to do this? Yeah, bring the questions up.
All right. So, okay. So I will address this one real quick here for the next hackathon. Can you guys remove Brazil? That's not. It's not that we as AWS are restricting it. There's some governmental policies that actually restrict that. So yes, it is not. We did not, pin the tail on the country. It's like, okay, Brazil's out. I wish it weren't that way, but there's just some policies that we couldn't get on that. So, all right. So this one, and Eric, this is coming at you. This is your segue. So here's the question. That's not it. My bad. All right, here we go. So on this, let me answer this real quick. Any way to get $25 AWS credits at this stage? So go ahead and post in the channel. We have Shun, who's kind of managing all this. He is taking care of this. All the original credits that we had are gone. I'm telling you, we have a lot of interest in this, but we're seeing what we can do. So post it in the actual channel. We can't answer it here, but thank you, the Slack channel, and we'll see what we can do. So, all right. Now let me see if I can get the actual question. All right, Eric. My Amplify Next, and Vida has been very active on the channel. It's been great to see you out there. It says my Amplify Next.js front end needs environment variables from CDK, like S3 table access. Judges need to create access keys manually, or is there a better way? Eric, is there something you can show today to help this?
Well, we have an article on which I guess I'll have to find a way to share, but we have
just put it in the private chat. We'll share it.
Yep. It's just like how to use environmental variables and secrets with Amplify. So that would be like my first thing. See what kind of environmental variables you're using. And hold on one sec. Better. Yeah, just see if this perhaps could help fix what you're trying to do. There's also other ways you can get environmental variables into your front end app. So there's a whole GitHub. I'll put a post here, which you can look at that has some ideas also of dealing with environmental variables, and especially if you're using Amplify hosting. So I'd take a look at this as well.
Cool. There we go. But yeah, just also to go back to the original kind of question. Your front end needs access to environment variables and like the S3 and table access. In a way, there shouldn't be any difference in the way that the judges are going to deploy and run this and the way that you deploy and run this. Because ultimately, are you going to stick your access keys and everything in your front end code, or are you going to do something else? So also, this is kind of also a bit of a best practice of not having hard-coded keys. And I mean, there are different kinds of keys. So it doesn't apply to necessarily everything. But yeah, if you've got an API key for, I don't know, people use secret keys for anything, even Anthropic, call that up. I mean, Bedrock is obviously probably better to use, but maybe you're going to use Anthropic or, any other third-party service. If you were doing this yourself, you wouldn't be committing those keys into your GitHub repo or that kind of thing. You would have a variable that you set somewhere, you'd store it, in a secrets manager or that kind of thing. So, ultimately, if you were rolling this out from a dev environment and into a prod environment, well, you'd need to handle that use case of having maybe different keys and all this kind of thing. So think of it that way around of, the judge doing this is sort of just another deployment. So how are you going to make this deployment ephemeral that you can, somebody could spin it up. If they need to manually type in the keys or they need to get it from an output or something, well, fair enough. That's the way it is. Maybe you could get clever and automate it. But yeah, sort of think of it that way around of like, the judges or someone using this is another deployment somewhere else. How would you handle that?
Yeah, it's good to just mention too. Yeah, if it's obviously secrets, don't put it in plain text. Use secrets manager. If you're using the front end and you just need to pass stuff into it, and you're using like hosting, you can actually set environmental variables inside your Amplify YAML file. If you're talking about like environmental variables, if you're using Gen 2 and actually putting it into like almost like the CDK type code, then there's ways of doing that. But yeah, just be careful definitely with secrets.
All right, so we have another couple of questions here, and then Eric, we'll probably bring you on here.
Sure.
We got this question, and I'm clicking on the wrong place, so bear with me. So wish I knew how this worked. All right, I'm currently using Supabase with their edge functions. What is the equivalent of edge functions in AWS? So we do actually, and there's, I'm going to wrap a caveat around this a little bit, and Julian, feel free to jump in on this or anybody else. But and I'm going to post a link coming from me. So these are cloud functions, and you can run cloud functions at the edge. But my question would be, what are you getting? What's the feature you're looking for? Are you looking for edge? I mean, that's why we call them edge. Getting as close to the customer as possible, or are you looking for scale? Are you stuff like that? So because there's some the and same as Supabase stuff like that, they're not a Lambda function is very powerful, right? Languages, you know, there's a lot you can do with them, and some of that is limited when you move out to the edge. Not all of it, but you want to weigh, why are we moving to edge processing, right? And there's some really good reasons for it. But my question is, I would probably look at that and make sure that's exactly what I'm looking for before I just jump all to the edge. Did that make sense, Julian? You want to add anything? Or
Yep, no, that made sense. I mean, sometimes you're going to use something like a Supabase edge function if you want to do some path-based manipulation, or you want to change a header. You know, you want to do really small stuff right at the edge. Yep. We do have CloudFront functions, and we've got Lambda at edge for that as well. But, you know, if you're actually going to be running some sort of business logic, you know, I know edge functions, I think I seem to remember their documentation page talks about, you know, creating a web hook or something, or integrating with other third parties. I can't remember which third parties they were talking about, but just use a normal Lambda function. Like, there's no, you know, the sort of edge part of that isn't going to give you much additional functionality.
So the really interesting thing here, and I'm going to go into a little bit of API gateway. If what you're looking for is to get as close to the customer as you can, look at Edge API Gateway, or I'm sorry, CloudFront, and see. So it's really interesting. When you use CloudFront, you get onto, there's this what we call POPs or points of presence, right? When you get onto that network, so if you're using CloudFront, like in front of API Gateway or in front of a function URL, then you're going to get on the AWS backbone. And then you're fast. So what's going to happen is if you're using CloudFront, you can use edge-based API gateway as well, but really what you want is that point of presence. It puts you on the network. Then you hit your regional API gateway, which hits your Lambda or your regional Lambda function, and that'll get very fast. It's getting on the network that really helps reduce a lot of that latency. And that's where you cache too, right? Cache the snot out of stuff. That's a term. That's legitimate. So there's the snot frequency. So, all right.
Yeah, one thing that I want to add is for the folks who are using edge functions, especially on the case of like Supabase and so on, the idea is to find something, I would say, easy to use, of course, and lightweight. And basically, they also want to have a logic at the edge. And I think the closest one that I think off the top of my head, like Julian said earlier, it's the CloudFront functions. I think that is the one that would do what you expect to do. But I think if you're a front-end developer, if you're new to the AWS, if you have the fear of using Lambda functions, I would say use the one that you need, and instead of like pushing other stuff that you might not need at all. So making your research about what your end operation would look like is more important, I would say, more valuable than picking an edge function or something like this. Just my 2 cents on it.
Cool. So yeah, keep your questions coming. There was a question about the Slack channel link, please. I think that if you sign up for the hackathon, I think the hack channel's all in there, isn't it, Eric? Or am I?
Yeah. So I actually posted a response, except for again, I don't know what's going on with me today. I did it direct to Solly for some reason. So Solly, there it is if you need it. But yes, if you go to the actual, so the hack Lambda, and I'll put that in again from Serverless Land. If you go here under the resources, That's where you'll find the Slack channel and everything else. So yep, you can do that. All right, Eric. There we go.
All right.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, Eric, do you want to share your screen and show us the wizardry that comes from Eric?
Yeah. Let me see here. This worked earlier.
I did just have to ask, Eric, is there any Swiss connection to you for the CH, or is it just Eric C. Hanchet, or?
Oh yeah, that's just my middle initial last name.
Yeah. Not Switzerland. Oh, so close.
Although I am have some heritage in Scandinavia and Finland.
Excellent. In fact, Eric, before we come quickly to you, because we talked about this earlier about not wanting to provide code, and Ashi says, my idea is a SaaS app, all the judges spin up everything in the stack, front end, Lambda, and everything in the review. Or if a URL is shared, they would use that as it is and log into that link. Two answers to this question. Generally, we want to be able to see the code. We want to be able to review the best practices. We want to deploy everything for you. However, if your whole application is mainly about a backend and you want to just host a front end just to make it a little bit simpler, and sharing the front end code isn't really materially important to your application, that's sort of doable. We could host a front end to stick some environment variables in to point to it or whatever, that kind of thing. So that would be an option. But you've got a trade-off against the completeness of the solution over here as well. So yeah, I think just having a URL and browsing through a website to see what your application looks like. This is all about a hackathon for seeing the Lambda code and seeing what you've put in your Lambda code and how that all ties together. So if it's just a URL to browse to a website, I don't think that would be good enough. Slight nuance there with, if the front end is immaterial to the actual application design, and because it's all Lambda, then maybe a hosted URL would work, but then you're going to bump up against the completeness of the solution. So it's my slight ramble.
Yep. It's good. I agree.
Let's go, Eric.
All right. Yeah. So this is kind of small, but I thought today, in the spirit of sharing, I would share not something I created, but something else someone else created. And I think it'd be appropriate for this conversation today when we're talking about Lambdas and this hackathon, because one of our engineers, Masashi, he's a Japanese cloud enthusiast. He also works at AWS. He created this sample repo on his personal blog, and it's on the AWS samples. And I'll put a link in the chat for anybody who wants to take a look at it. It's called the Serverless Full Stack Web App Architectures. Let me throw that in the chat here. And what's really nice about this is if you are interested in creating an app for this hackathon, you're probably wanting to have, of course, a front end, and we just had that question about a back end as well. And getting that all working together, especially if you're using something like Next.js with the app router, is a little tricky. Now, we do have Amplify hosting, which I'll give a shout out for, which is a great solution if you want to host your app during this competition, because you can have, with the app router, you can have API routes and server components and everything like that. Should I explain some of those terms, Julian, or should we just
let's go for it?
Yeah, it was one thing I'll throw out, Eric, is because we are on our own channel, you have a little leeway on time. So
yeah. Well,
probably dangerous statement, but there it is.
So Next.js is a really popular React framework, and it combines a couple of things. They call it a meta framework, so it has your server capabilities, so you can have server routes on there. Your components can be client components or server components, which is really nice. So if you almost when you work with Next.js, it's almost like you're a full stack developer, because you can create apps and then connect it to your database, and you can be in the same component. It's really nice. The thing is though that you have to deploy that somewhere unless you just want to run it locally. And if you want to deploy that, then it's a little tricky to make sure that each one of your server routes actually is connected somewhere to a serverless function. And this repo actually does that for you. So I thought this was kind of interesting too, because I'm sure a lot of people listening right now are tinkerers and AWS fans, and they probably want to like learn this themselves instead of using something like a hosting service like Amplify Hosting. So here's one way you can do it. So this is all written with CDK and in Next.js and TypeScript. We have this CloudFront distribution. And to your point earlier, Eric, where you were saying that if you want to use edge functions, put it in front of a CloudFront and you have that globally distributed. So that's exactly what they did here with this Lambda Edge in behind the CloudFront distribution. And then they're using AppSync, RDS Aurora, Serverless v2, Postgres, and Cognito to kind of put it all together. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. So maybe we could just like do a quick demo run of it, and then we can look at more of the code. So this is not probably to the level of what the Lambda Hackathon is expecting being a real world app, because it technically is just a to-do app. But I think this is a cool starter kit you can do to kind of build upon or get some inspiration from. So this is just a welcome page I added in. I'm using Amazon Q CLI developer to help me before this call. I'm like, hey, let's add a little jazz to this. So I added it in.
Was that the prompt? Oh, that's vibe coding to the max. Add a little jazz to this.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, just one prompt like, hey, create me a quick welcome page. And this is using Tailwind CSS if anyone's using that. So if you click sign in here, you come to this page and it's just in the sign in route. And we click sign in here. Then it brings us to this. Now, you may see something at the top here. It's probably pretty small. This is the URL, but this is actually a hosted UI on Cognito. So we didn't write this ourselves. This is just redirecting to the hosted Cognito UI. It's using OAuth 2 to do everything. So I already have an account here, if I remember it. It's an old email address that I have. Let's see if I can log in. And it redirects me to, a to-do app. But it works. I can add something here and then create this to-do, and I can delete and things like that. I thought it would be fun. Well, let's look at the code for a second. Of course, I can sign out, and that redirects back to this page here. But I thought it would be fun to kind of look at some of the code. So we're talking about edge functions. Just a note, edge functions can only be deployed in US East 1, but it's kind of globally available. This is using the code here for CD. This is a CDK construct. We just kind of go back up. We have a main stack. We have a US East 1 stack. If you're, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is TypeScript, but we have like an S3 bucket we're setting up. We have a VPC. We have the database. We have an event bus connected to AppSync. We have some async job stuff in here. And then with auth, we're setting up Cognito to do that. And that's all through this CDK. And you can look at the source code just from that GitHub repository that's in the chat right now if you want to deep dive into it a little bit more. Now, on the front end, there is... Go ahead, Eric.
I'm just going to throw out, if you're not familiar with CDK, I'll put a link in there. Eric, can you give like a 10-second what is CDK?
Yeah, it's Cloud Development Kit. It's a way to build apps for AWS. It's typically, you can use a lot of different programming languages with it. Most people think, I would guess to say, probably use TypeScript, but you can use Python and I think Java and so forth. And it's another layer on top of CloudFormation. It compiles down to CloudFormation scripts, and then it deploys it all to your AWS infrastructure. It's an infrastructure code tool. Am I missing anything? Anybody on the call?
I think you got it. Last week I showed Sam. This is another way to build stuff. So
yes. So the web app part, this is Next.js, and we have this app. We call this the app router. Next.js went through kind of some growing pains in the last couple of years where they moved from something called the pages router to the app router. And the app router introduced this new idea of server components, different types of caching, lots of information online about that. But we also have some new API routes here. So these are all run on the server. So we have like this routes, and we have this some token stuff for Cognito. This is all built into this repository. And we even have this page, this auth callback. So when it comes back from Cognito and from that hosted UI, it redirects back to this page, and it knows what to do and how to redirect back to a logged in user for a logged in user. And then we're also coming back here. This looks familiar. This is Amplify. So we are using the Amplify front end library to do everything, which is great. So I thought it would be fun. We have a little bit of time, and I'm not sure if this will work out, is let's add a social login to this. I already did a little bit of work beforehand, but I think we can do it. So right now, we come back to this page here and sign in. We only have one sign in button. So we probably want to add in a sign in with Google button. And then also we need to do some work in the back end. Now there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can go into CDK and actually set it up. And that's probably the way you'd want to do it for the future. But for this demo, we're going to go to the console and do a little bit of setup inside there. So I'm going to drag over my Cognito app. And by the way, this is just a demo app. It'll probably be deleted after this. So hopefully I won't. You guys let me know if I share anything that I shouldn't.
We're all friends here.
Can you blow that up?
I close my eyes.
There we go.
All right. So first, I went to my social and external providers and I clicked add identity provider here. So by the way, I'm in the AWS console. I just searched for Cognito and I went to Amazon Cognito, and you get this nice interface to set this up. And if you don't know, Cognito is the identity provider that we all know and love through Amazon. Oh, by the way, if you're ever online, people always say AWS Cognito. It's Amazon Cognito technically. I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
When
he says people, he means me probably, but yeah, that's true.
I was going to say AI. AI always says all the time. Maybe it watches your streams, Eric.
Unfortunately, putting bad info out there.
There is you click add identity. So assuming that you already have your Cognito identity provider set up, which is just a few steps. Look at the code to set that up, but you can go to add identity provider here. You can choose, and we have Facebook, sign in with Apple, SAML, login. Google's already taken, but you normally click Google here, and then it'll bring you to a page. I don't want to click on this because that's going to reveal my keys, but it would show you a page where you put in your secret key and your client key. Now you're probably thinking like, how would you even get those? Well, I got you covered. You can actually, I'll link to this. This is step-by-step instructions on what you do. It tells you to like log into your Facebook, or in this case, Google account. And then you have to kind of click around your Google console and you have to set up some scopes. It's really easy. It looks a little intimidating. Don't worry. It took me like 5 minutes. And then you can just follow these instructions here. So I'll put this in the chat too, in case someone wants to. All right. So I did that part. So now I have this Google identity provider. And now to add this to my account, I'm going to go app clients. I'm going to click on this user pool. And you can think of user pools as a way of like where it's like a pool of information of all the email, all the people that logged into your account, and you have some things you can do with it. It's also where you can set up that hosted UI that we saw earlier. So if I click edit here, app client information, we have this thing right here. Well, actually, this is not where it is. Excuse me.
They updated a lot of this just recently too.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember where. Is it in login pages?
What are you looking for?
Oh, I'm looking for where to add in. Here it is. Login pages. Yeah. Select identity providers. So if you don't, I'll go back. I did that quickly. So what I did is I clicked on login pages here, and then it says manage login page configuration. And then you click edit here, and then you can come down and it says select identity provider. So I'm going to choose Google. I'm going to click OK there. I'm going to save changes. Okay, so it should be enabled. Sometimes it might take a couple of minutes, but usually it's instantaneous. So I'm going to come back to my app. And nothing's changing here because this is just the front end. But if I click sign in now, I have this button that says sign in with Google. So that's a good sign. But I don't want someone to have to like click twice, right? It's kind of annoying. You have to click twice to click sign in with Google. I want it to just to like go directly there. So we can do that. So in my pages folder, I have some commented out code. So I'm cheating here.
No,
but
that's not cheating.
I am going to uncomment this out.
That's reversed vibe coding.
That's right.
Yeah, I was going to say this was the OG vibe coding, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
So this just adds this is a link, meaning that it's going to bring you to this URL, which we'll look at in a second. And then it will open up the page. So if I come back here, hey, there it is. So now I have a sign in with Google button. But if I click on it, it's not working. So obviously we need to get that working. And let's see if we click sign in here.
I feel like you expected that. I think this is the point where I would panic, but I felt like you expected that. Oh, it's not working. All right, we got to go.
Well, first, we need to put an ampersand in there. So if we do this.
I would have noticed that.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It's still not working, but I think I know why, because we need to change the way this is redirecting, because it's not redirecting the way I expected. Now I have broken something. Maybe the servers died. Let me restart it.
Sorry, the what's died?
Let me start my web server.
You should do this serverless, man.
Yeah.
Julian's pitching him. I'll knock him out of the park. What's up?
Let's see here. Let's go back to 3010.
You guys have time until he fixes it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could fill time.
He's going to drag this out for hours.
So while he's working on this, I'll show you what kind of stuff that Julian and I have to deal with on a regular basis. So this is, we got I don't even know who this is, some guy, but great haircut. I'll give you that. Talking about bouncing data off. Yeah. So this is what budgets are for, and this is what alarms and all those kinds of things. So Grant Lammy, who is a good friend.
You used to be able to, you could order a snowmobile to come to your house.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Load up your generated data. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, it's gone off screen. All right, I'm gonna look it through here. Now, so we did have a comment in here. Sam is the way to go. If you see this, I'm just gonna put it back up there. Now, I know this is an opinion, and not a fact, but I tend to agree with this opinion. There is a big battle between Sam and CDK. Both are good, but I tend to lean into Sam as well. So we do have some help coming in for you, Eric.
And the thing about CDK is that you can build your infrastructure in the language that you're used to. So, and you can use all of your language constructs. I had to build a function or a test case once where I had to deploy 100 different Lambda functions. They were all identical, but it was part of a fan out test basically on SNS. That was just writing a for loop inside of CDK to create all of those functions.
Yeah.
Whereas on SAM, it would have been Control C, Control V, 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 V.
I agree.
But actually, also, I'd like to highlight that if you're in front end and you're using TypeScript like Eric is doing, and you're using Amplify Gen 2, that is all literally bound with TypeScript on the front end, CDK on the back end. Everything is all together. It is actually quite a great story. And the other thing is, we're talking about Amplify today. If you've tried Amplify Gen 1 and you're like, you know what, we sort of bumped up against some sort of things and I couldn't X out of it and do what I wanted to do, and it didn't maybe scale. Amplify Gen 2, which is a thing, came out last year, is the thing that actually solves that, because it is actually all built on CDK. So you can exit out of anything, I presume, anything you can build in Amplify, because it is just CDK code. And your front-end code is the same as your back-end code. So, specifically for an Amplify front-end and hosting story, the CDK and Amplify Gen 2 works really well together. So yeah, if you sort of were like, I don't know about Amplify because you tried Gen 1, Gen 2 is definitely worth a look.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, I'm going to specify that just a little bit, because what Amplify Gen 2 does is it gives you a backend, basically a blank backend that you just build in CDK.
Yeah.
So and the cool thing is, and this goes back to the earlier question, environment variables that are needed, it's going to kick that out for your front end. Every time you deploy, it's going to update the page that you have access to from the front end. So super powerful, a lot going on there. So yeah, that's really cool. So hey, go ahead, Jules.
Well, I was just gonna. Yeah, Jeff was talking about strands earlier. So yeah, I know, Jeff, you built something with you built something, I think, with the strands. Have you, or have I got the wrong person?
I think you got the wrong person. I haven't had a chance to play with strands yet.
Well, I think what you were no, it wasn't strands. I'm sorry. It was the Nova Sonic. You in one of our
one of the questions
projects, and I don't want to give all their secrets away, but it's the idea of you were running asynchronous versus synchronous, or being able to do streams. And did you get that working in a Lambda function?
I did not. I did not have a chance to build it. It was just one of the questions that got popped up in the Slack channel. Yeah. But basically the idea was, okay, strands, or no, not strands. Nova Sonic returns basically a stream of audio, and it always returns audio. Yeah. And using a furl, you could pass that audio stream on to your client through Lambda as well, if you didn't want to have them hooked directly.
Yeah, and I checked with some of our other serverless essays as well, specialists. I was talking to D-Raj. I call him D-Raj, like a DJ, but he doesn't like it, but I do it. And so D-Raj, I was checking with him and Uma, and it works out, because you do want to question, because Lambdas are supposed to be ephemeral. Come up, go away, right? Come up, do the thing, go away. They are not a replacement for containers. And there's a reason for that. It's not like, we just couldn't get them to stay up that long. We certainly can. But because that's probably a more expensive way to go. If you need something to run just a long time, you want ECS on Fargate, right? Because that's that serverless container idea. But these Sonic has the longest you can do a Sonic connection is 8 minutes. The longest you can do a Lambda function connection is 15 minutes. So you can run Sonic in a Lambda function, or theoretically. But when you're running 8-minute sessions, is it the wisest? That's something to look at when you're doing pricing and things like that. So
there's a lot of wait time, and that's always an anti-pattern when you're in Lambda.
Yeah. Anytime, Lambdas are made to come up, do the work, and go away. They're not really made to sit there and ponder. So Eric, what do you think?
I think I can try one more time. Yeah.
Nice.
I think I figured it out. Sorry for the delay.
No, dude, it just feels like it's me coding when there's things that don't work. So it's fine.
All right. So I just had to go in and play around with the server buddy. So we see here we have the sign-in language. If I sign with Google, it's not automatically logging in. That's expected. But what we can do is, if we look at the documentation here, that says that this is the Gen 2 documentation, and we're using something called this create route handlers, and that's in this route TS file. This is the same thing, and basically this is a way we can redirect to the server route and then have it open up Google or whatever else we want. So, but to do it, we have to set sign in provider equal and then the provider. So let's see. I haven't tested this, but let's see if it works. So I'm going to do provider equals, and then we'll do Google, and then we'll do and language en. Okay, sign in provider equal Google. So it should just automatically go directly to Google. So let's see. Saving it. Okay, sign in with Google. Cool. So now it's going directly into sign in with Google. I'm going to choose my old email address here. It says, hey, are you sure you want to allow this? I say continue.
Nice.
Now it's redirecting back to the sign in callback. Cool. So now I've just logged in with my new Google login.
So this is a great way people struggle with authentication authorization constantly, right? This is a great way to handle that. And this is all in front of a Lambda function URL, right?
Yeah, it's using a function URL. Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. This is awesome, dude. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And you could do log in with Amazon. You can do, there's several at Facebook. And then you could do like OIDC, right? So you could do some custom ones as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Alrighty. I may just be saying things, but when Eric validates it, I always feel better. So
yeah, you can do any of these like Facebook, sign to Apple, SAML, login with Amazon, OIDC connect too.
Right. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, so SAML,
Eric
if
gets
you're
to
using
travel.
Okta or something.
Yep.
What's that?
SAML for
Eric gets to travel to India with me. So I want to, Julian, can you bring that slide up one time real quick?
Certainly, I had that ready to go. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll stop sharing.
Yeah. Because we are at time. But just before you go, Eric is actually going to be here with me. He's going to be doing a lot of front end stuff. I plan on just wearing Eric out. We're going to be hitting cloud. We're going to be talking to students. We're going to be at Serverless in Bengaluru. Students, if you're in Bengaluru, watch, because we're going to be doing some stuff in New Delhi and in Bengaluru and elsewhere where we're going to be coming and meeting you on some of the campuses. So reach out if you're interested in that. But we'd love to see you there. There's a whole bunch of us going. So Julian, I'll turn it over to you to run.
Well, I can just say good luck, Eric, with traveling with other Eric. And you can decide who's that directed to.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, the Eric and Eric on tour. Well, awesome, everybody. Yeah, we've got. Please go to Serverless. Bengaluru is really going to be awesome. I think I've been to every other Goto Serverless EDA events, and a lot of Goto. They're a fantastic organizer, great bunch of people. Certainly friends of Serverless office hours. So yeah, certainly worth doing. And of course, we've got serverlessland.com. There was a comment mentioned earlier about adding some of these starter things to that. Great idea. I'll put it on the list. But yeah, lots of information. Also, serverless patterns. If you're building some of these applications and you need some ideas or something to get going quickly, there's step functions, workflows, there are snippets of SDK code. Serverless patterns have got loads. There are more than 900 of them. So yeah, that's a really good way to be able to get going really quickly. But that's enough from us. Thanks so much for joining us here on Serverless Office Hours. We won't be back in the same place next week, but we will be back for Hackathon Week 4. We'll be back on the AWS Events YouTube channel and
bad spelling. Ignore that.
Twitch.tv.aws.
Try it again. Yeah.
So we will be back. Thanks so much for switching over to today and switching over to this new channel. Appreciate you following us around. And most of all, importantly, thanks to Eric and Sally and Jeff. Thanks for joining us. And see you all different place next week. Bye-bye.
All right.
Eric, you need